I never thought my daughter's wedding day would turn into a nightmare. But when my 12-year-old granddaughter Sophie grabbed my hand at the rehearsal dinner and whispered, "Grandpa, we need to talk. Now. It's about Uncle Derek," I felt my blood run cold. Let me back up. My name is Richard Coleman, and I'm 63 years old. I lost my wife Catherine to breast cancer 4 years ago, and since then, my daughter Amanda and her family have been my whole world. Amanda is 36, married to a good man named Peter, and they have 2 kids, Sophie, who's 12, and little Max, who's 8. Amanda works as a nurse at Portland General Hospital, and Peter runs a small construction company. They're good people, hard-working, the kind of parents who never miss a soccer game or a school play. But this story isn't really about them. It's about Derek Mitchell. Derek is Amanda's older brother, my son from my first marriage, which ended badly 20 years ago. Derek and we've had a complicated relationship. He was always the golden child, the one who could do no wrong in his mother's eyes. He went to Stanford, became a financial advisor, married a beautiful woman named Vanessa. From the outside, Derek had it all. But I'd always sensed something off about him, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Catherine used to tell me I was too hard on him, that I needed to let go of the past. So I tried. God knows I tried. 3 months ago, Amanda called me with exciting news. Her daughter Sophie, my bright, wonderful granddaughter, had been accepted into Riverside Preparatory Academy, one of the best private schools in Oregon, full scholarship. The kid's a genius, tests off the charts in mathematics and science. There was just one catch. The scholarship covered tuition, but not the additional fees. Books, uniforms, lab equipment, school trips. Amanda and Peter had been saving, but they were still about $15,000 short. That's when Derek stepped in. He showed up at their house one evening with a bottle of expensive wine and a proposal. He'd just closed a big deal, he said. Made a killing on some tech stock investments. He wanted to help family. He offered to cover the entire $15,000, no strings attached. Amanda was moved to tears. Peter was hesitant. He's a proud man, doesn't like accepting handouts, but Derek insisted. "Family takes care of family," he said, clapping Peter on the back. "Besides, Sophie's brilliant. It's an investment in her future." They accepted. Derek wrote the check right there. Amanda called me that night, so happy she could barely speak. "Dad, isn't Derek wonderful? I know you two have had your differences, but this changes everything. I wanted to be happy. I really did. But something about it gnawed at me. Catherine's life insurance had paid out $280,000 when she died. I'd put most of it in a retirement account, but I'd set aside $50,000 in a separate account for emergencies and for helping my grandkids with college when the time came. Derek knew about that money. We'd had a conversation about it at Catherine's funeral. He'd suggested I invest it, let him manage it through his firm. I declined. That money was for the kids, I'd told him. I wasn't going to gamble with it. He'd smiled, but his eyes had gone cold. "Suit yourself, Dad? Just trying to help?" I hadn't thought much of it at the time. I was drowning in grief, barely keeping my head above water. But now, months later, as I watched Derek play the generous uncle, that conversation came back to me. The rehearsal dinner was at Il Giardino, an upscale Italian restaurant in downtown Portland. Amanda had chosen it because it was Catherine's favorite place. She wanted her mom to be part of the celebration, even if only in spirit. Sophie had been quiet all evening, pushing food around her plate. She's usually such a chatty kid, always bouncing with energy. But tonight she seemed withdrawn. When I asked if she was okay, she just nodded and looked away. It wasn't until after dinner, when everyone was mingling over coffee and dessert, that she tugged my sleeve. "Grandpa," she whispered, "can we go outside? I need to tell you something." We stepped out onto the restaurant's patio. It was September, and the Portland evening was cool, the sky streaked with pink and gold. Sophie hugged herself, shivering slightly. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" I asked, putting my jacket around her shoulders. She looked up at me with those serious gray eyes, Catherine's eyes. "It's about Uncle Derek." My stomach tightened. "What about him?" I overheard something. Last week, When he came over for dinner, I was supposed to be asleep, but I came downstairs to get water, and I heard him on the phone in Dad's office. And, she bit her lip, he was talking about you. About your money, he said. He said something about a plan and after the wedding, and old fool won't know what hit him. The world seemed to tilt. Sophie, are you sure that's what you heard? She nodded emphatically. I know it sounds crazy, Grandpa, but I'm not making it up, I swear. He said your name. He said, Richard's sitting on 50 grand that should have been mine anyway, and then he laughed. It was a mean laugh. It scared me. I felt sick. Did you tell your parents? I tried to tell Mom, but she just said I must have misheard. She said Uncle Derek would never say anything like that, and that I shouldn't make up stories about family. Tears welled in her eyes. But I'm not making it up. I know what I heard. I pulled her into a hug. I believe you, honey. I believe you. Because I did. Every instinct in my body was screaming that Sophie was telling the truth. There's something else, she said, her voice muffled against my chest. 2 days ago, I saw Uncle Derek at our house when everyone was out. I was homesick from school, and Mrs. Patterson from next door was watching me. I saw him through my bedroom window. He used the spare key from under the flower pot and went inside. He was in there for like 20 minutes. Did you tell anyone? Mrs. Patterson fell asleep on the couch. She didn't see. And when I told Mom later, she said Derek probably just needed to pick something up that he'd left there. But I knew better. You don't sneak into someone's house when they're not home for innocent reasons. Sophie, I need you to trust me on something. Don't say anything to anyone else about this. Not your mom, not your dad, not Uncle Derek. Can you do that for me? She nodded, looking relieved. You believe me, right? You're going to do something? I believe you. And yes, I'm going to figure out what's going on. We went back inside. Derek was holding court near the bar, telling some story that had everyone laughing. When he saw me, he raised his glass in a toast. There's the man of the hour, the father of the beautiful bride. I forced a smile and raised my glass back. But inside, my mind was racing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Sophie's words. Old fool won't know what hit him. What was Derek planning? The next morning, I drove to Amanda's house. It was Saturday, and I knew Peter would be at a job site and Amanda would be at the hospital for her morning shift. Perfect. I let myself in with the key they'd given me years ago. The house was quiet except for the sound of the TV in the living room where Sophie and Max were watching cartoons. Hey, Grandpa, Max yelled, not taking his eyes off the screen. Hey, buddy. Sophie, can you help me with something in your dad's office? She immediately jumped up and followed me. Peter's office was a small room off the kitchen, cluttered with construction plans and invoices. But what I was looking for was simpler. Do you remember where Uncle Derek was when you heard him on the phone? I asked Sophie. She pointed to the desk. He was sitting right there. I examined the desk. Nothing seemed out of place. Then, I checked the landline phone. Peter still kept one for business calls. I checked the redial. No luck. It showed Amanda's cell. He was using his cell phone, Sophie said. Not the landline. Of course. That would have been too easy. Show me where he went when he came by the other day. Sophie led me through the house. He went upstairs first. To Mom and Dad's room, I think. Then he came back down and went into Dad's office again. That's when I stopped watching, because Mrs. Patterson woke up. I went to Amanda and Peter's bedroom. What would Derek be looking for up here? Then it hit me. Peter kept important documents in a lockbox in their closet. Birth certificates, passports, the deed to the house. I opened the closet and found the lockbox on the top shelf. It wasn't locked. I opened it. Everything seemed to be there. Sophie's and Max's birth certificates, Amanda and Peter's marriage license, the house deed, Peter's company and corporation papers. I was about to close it when something caught my eye. There was a document I didn't recognize. A power of attorney form, made out to Derek Mitchell, granting him financial authority over my accounts in the event of my incapacity. My hands started shaking. The signature at the bottom looked like mine. But I had never signed this document. I had never even seen it before. It was a forgery. A pretty good one, too. Derek must have practiced my signature from old checks or documents. But I knew my own handwriting, and this wasn't quite right. The R in Richard was too looped, and the final did had a flourish I'd never used. I pulled out my phone and took pictures of the document. Then I put it back exactly where I'd found it. "Grandpa, you're really pale," Sophie said from the doorway. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, honey. Listen, I need you to do something for me. If Uncle Derek comes around again, I want you to text me right away. Can you do that?" "Yeah. Are you going to tell Mom and Dad?" "Not yet. I need to gather more information first. But Sophie, you did the right thing by telling me. You might have just saved my life." Her eyes went wide. "What?" "I'll explain later. For now, let's keep this between us. Okay?" She nodded, looking scared but determined. I left the house and sat in my car for a long moment, trying to calm my racing heart. Derek wasn't planning to ask for my money. He was planning to steal it. And the phrase "old fool won't know what hit him" took on a much more sinister meaning. Was he planning to hurt me? Make it look like an accident? Get me declared incompetent so the power of attorney would kick in? I thought about Catherine, about how she'd gotten sick so suddenly. The doctors had said it was just bad luck, an aggressive form of cancer that came out of nowhere. But Catherine had been healthy, active. She'd just had a clean mammogram 6 months before her diagnosis, and Derek had been around a lot during her illness, bringing her special teas, he'd said, to help with the nausea from chemo. No, I couldn't let my mind go there. That was too dark, too horrible. But the seed of doubt had been planted. I drove home and spent the rest of the day researching. I learned that elder financial abuse is more common than people think, that family members are the most frequent perpetrators, that it often escalates to physical harm if the victim becomes suspicious. By evening, I knew what I had to do. I called an old friend from my days working at the Postal Service. Frank Chen had retired a few years before me and now worked private security. "Frank, I need your help. I think my son is planning to rob me. Maybe worse." We met at a diner the next morning. I showed Frank the photos of the forged power of attorney. I told him about Sophie's conversation, about Derek's suspicious visit to the house. Frank listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back and whistled. "Richard, this is serious. You need to go to the police." "And tell them what? That I found a document that might be a forgery? That my granddaughter overheard a conversation? They'll think I'm a paranoid old man. You need evidence." "I know. That's why I called you. Can you help me set up surveillance? Something discreet?" Frank thought about it. "I can get you some equipment. Small cameras, audio recording devices. But Richard, if you're right about this, if Derek is planning something, you need to be careful. Don't tip him off." "I won't. And you need to protect your assets. Move your money. Change your accounts. Make it so, even if he gets that power of attorney validated somehow, there's nothing for him to access. I'll call my bank tomorrow." Frank reached across the table and gripped my hand. "Watch your back, old friend. If he's desperate enough to forge documents, he's desperate enough to do anything." That night, I couldn't sleep again. I kept thinking about Amanda's wedding, which was now just 5 days away. Should I tell her? Should I ruin her special day with these suspicions? But what if I was wrong? What if there was an innocent explanation? No. The forged power of attorney wasn't innocent. There was no explaining that away. The next morning, I went to my bank. I met with the branch manager, Mrs. Rodriguez, who'd helped me set up Catherine's life insurance payout years ago. "Mr. Coleman, it's good to see you. What can I do for you today?" "I need to move my money, all of it, into new accounts with different account numbers, and I need to set up additional security. Password protection, biometric verification if you have it." She looked concerned. "Is everything all right? I believe someone may be planning to commit fraud against me. Someone who has access to my personal information." Her expression turned serious. "I see. Let me get the paperwork started. We'll have you protected by the end of the day." It took 3 hours, but by the time I left the bank, my $50,000 was in a new account with a 16-digit password and fingerprint verification. Even if Derek somehow got the power of attorney accepted, he'd hit a brick wall. That afternoon, Frank came by my house with a box of equipment. "Okay, here's what we've got," he he said, unpacking small devices. This is a voice-activated audio recorder. Looks like a pen, but it'll pick up conversations within 20 feet. This is a micro camera. You can put it in a shirt pocket or clip it to your glasses. Records, video, and audio. And this is a GPS tracker. Stick it somewhere on Derek's car, and we can monitor his movements. This feels like something out of a spy movie, I said. Yeah, well, sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. Now, here's the important part. Oregon is a one-party consent state for recording. That means as long as you're part of the conversation, you can record it legally. But if you're recording conversations you're not part of, that's illegal. So be smart about how you use this stuff. I nodded, examining the tiny camera. What if I just wear this? Keep it on me at all times? That works. Just be natural. Don't act suspicious. And Richard, he looked at me seriously. If things get dangerous, if you feel threatened at all, you get out and you call 911. Don't try to be a hero. I won't. But I was already planning. The wedding was in 4 days. Thursday, September 24th. Amanda had chosen a Thursday to save money on the venue rental. I decided I would wear the camera to every family event leading up to the wedding. Maybe I'd catch Derek saying something incriminating. At the very least, I'd have a record of his behavior. Tuesday evening, there was a family dinner at Amanda's house. Everyone was there. Amanda and Peter, the kids, Derek and his wife Vanessa, and me. I wore the camera pen in my shirt pocket, the lens pointing outward. Dinner was casual. Peter grilled burgers in the backyard while the kids played. Vanessa and Amanda chatted about last-minute wedding details. Derek sat next to me on the patio, drinking a beer. "Big day coming up, Dad," he said, his tone friendly. "You must be proud." "I am. Amanda's my whole world." "Yeah, she's great. And Peter's a good guy. Those kids are lucky." He paused, then added, "You know, I've been thinking. After the wedding, we should sit down and talk about your finances. Make sure everything's in order. You're not getting any younger." There it was. The opening gambit. "My finances are fine, Derek. I've got everything arranged." "I'm sure you do. But it's smart to have someone with financial expertise take a look. Estate planning, tax optimization, making sure Amanda and the kids are taken care of when he caught himself. If something happens to you..." "When? You mean?" He laughed awkwardly. "We all get old, Dad. It's nothing morbid, just practical." I appreciate the offer, but I'm good. I could see the frustration flicker across his face before he masked it with a smile. "Suit yourself. I just want to help." "Like you helped with Sophie's school fees?" "Exactly. Family taking care of family." But the look in his eyes was cold, calculating. That night, I went home and reviewed the footage. The camera had captured everything clearly, including Derek's subtle pressure about my finances. It wasn't enough. Not yet, but it was a start. Wednesday morning, Sophie texted me. "Uncle D here again. Parents at work, Mrs. P sleeping." I immediately drove over. By the time I arrived, Derek's silver BMW was pulling out of the driveway. He saw me and waved cheerfully. I waved back, then parked and went inside. Sophie was waiting for me in the kitchen. He was in Dad's office again. I watched from upstairs. "Did he see you?" "No." I was careful. I went to the office. Everything looked normal, but when I checked the lockbox in the bedroom, the power of attorney document was gone. My heart sank. He'd taken it, which meant he was planning to use it soon. I called Frank immediately. He's moved up his timeline. He took the forged document. "Richard, you need to go to the police. Now. This is beyond surveillance." "And say what? A document was in a box and now it's not? I don't even have proof it was ever there except my own testimony." "You took pictures. Pictures that don't prove anything except that the document existed. Derek could claim I forged it and planted it, that I'm a confused old man imagining conspiracies." Frank was silent for a moment. "What do you want to do?" "I want to catch him in the act. I want him on recording, admitting what he's planning, and I think I know how to do it." "How?" "At the wedding. He'll be there. I'll confront him privately, wear the camera, get him to confess." "Richard, that's dangerous. If he's planning violence..." It'll be a public place, lots of people around. He won't try anything there. And if you're wrong, I thought about Sophie's scared face, about Catherine's death, about Amanda's trust being betrayed by her own brother. I'm not wrong, and I'm not letting him get away with this. Thursday arrived, the wedding day. I woke up early, my stomach in knots. I put on my tuxedo, clipped the micro camera to my boutonniere, and slipped the audio recorder pen into my jacket pocket. The ceremony was at a beautiful estate overlooking the Willamette River. Amanda looked radiant in Catherine's wedding dress, which she'd had altered to fit. When I walked her down the aisle, I thought my heart would burst with pride and love. If only Catherine could see this. The ceremony was perfect. Peter's vows made everyone cry. Amanda's voice shook with emotion as she promised to love him forever. Sophie and Max stood up as attendants, looking so grown up, and Derek sat in the front row, smiling like he didn't have a care in the world. The reception was in the estate's ballroom. Dinner was served, toasts were made, and then the dancing started. I danced with Amanda to butterfly kisses, and I had to fight to keep my composure. Around 9 p.m., I saw Derek step outside onto the terrace. He pulled out his phone. This was my chance. I followed him out. The terrace overlooked the gardens, which were lit with strings of white lights. It was beautiful, romantic, a perfect setting for a wedding, and potentially a confession. "Derek," I said, stepping up beside him. He turned, looking surprised. "Dad? Enjoying the party? We need to talk." His expression became guarded. "About what?" "About the power of attorney you forged, the one with my signature that I never signed." For a split second, his mask slipped. I saw the panic, the rage. Then it was gone, replaced by confused concern. "Dad, what are you talking about? Are you feeling okay?" "Don't. I know what you've been planning. Sophie heard you on the phone. She saw you sneaking into their house. I found the document in Peter's lockbox." He laughed, but it sounded forced. "Dad, that's crazy. Sophie's a 12-year-old with an overactive imagination, and I have a key to Amanda's house." "I wasn't sneaking. I was picking up some tools I'd lent Peter." "Then explain the power of attorney." "What power of attorney? I don't know what you're talking about." "The one that would give you access to my accounts if I was incapacitated. The one you forged my signature on." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "Dad, I think you might be confused. Have you been feeling okay lately? Memory problems? Maybe you should see a doctor." And there it was. The gaslighting. The setup to declare me incompetent. "I'm not confused, Derek. I moved all my money, changed the accounts, set up new security. So even if you somehow get that document validated, you'll find nothing." His jaw clenched. "You did what?" "You heard me. Whatever you're planning, it's not going to work." He stared at me for a long moment. Then his expression changed. The mask came off completely, and what I saw underneath was chilling. "You stupid old fool," he hissed. "Do you have any idea what you've done? I've protected myself from a thief." "A thief? I'm your son. You're Catherine's stepson, and you've resented me since the day she and I got married." "Damn right I have. You waltzed into our lives and took everything. Mom left Dad for you, then you got all her attention, all her money when she died. That life insurance payout should have been mine. I'm her blood son, not Amanda. Catherine left her money to me because she was my wife, and she trusted me to use it wisely." "Wisely? You're sitting on 50 grand doing nothing with it while I'm drowning in debt. Do you know what I owe? The gambling losses? The bad investments? I'm about to lose everything. So you were going to steal from me to cover your debts? It's not stealing if it should have been mine in the first place. And what was your plan? Get me declared incompetent? Or were you planning something more permanent?" He went very still. "What are you implying?" "I'm implying that old fool won't know what hit him sounds like a threat." "What were you planning, Derek? An accident? Make it look natural, like you told your accomplice on the phone?" His face went white. "You're insane." "Am I?" "Because I've been thinking about Catherine's death. How sudden it was. How you were around so much. Bringing her tea. Don't you dare." His voice was venomous. "Don't you dare suggest." "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just remembering and wondering. He grabbed my arm, his grip painfully tight. You need to shut up. Right now. Transfer that money back. Give me access. Or I swear to God. You'll what? Kill me at your sister's wedding? With 100 witnesses? He released my arm and stepped back, breathing hard. For a moment, I thought he might actually hit me. Then his phone buzzed. He looked down at it, and his expression changed to something like panic. Everything okay? I asked. He didn't answer. Just stared at his phone. Derek? What's wrong? He looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. What did you do? He whispered. I don't know what you mean. The police. They're at my house, right now, with a warrant. I felt a cold satisfaction. Interesting timing. You called them? I didn't have to. Your wife did. He looked like I'd slapped him. What? Vanessa called me 2 days ago. She'd found bank statements you'd been hiding. Gambling debts, like you said, but also payments to someone named Marcus Reeves. She looked him up. He's got a record forgery, identity theft, fraud. She put 2 and 2 together and realized you were planning something. She just didn't know what. This was partially true. Vanessa had called me, worried about Derek's behavior and their finances, but I'd been the one to suggest we contact the authorities. I'd shown her the photos of the forged power of attorney. She'd been horrified. Together, we'd gone to the Portland Police Department. Detective Sarah Williams had taken our statement and started an investigation. Apparently, that investigation had moved faster than I'd expected. You set me up, Derek said, his voice hollow. No, you set yourself up. I just made sure there would be consequences. I'm your son. You were going to rob me, maybe hurt me. You forged legal documents. You manipulated your sister's family. You are not my son, Derek. You never were. He stood there, shaking with rage and fear. Then, without another word, he pushed past me and ran. I watched him go, my heart pounding. Inside, the music was still playing. Amanda and Peter were dancing, surrounded by friends and family. Sophie caught my eye from across the room and gave me a thumbs up. That kid, that wonderful, brave kid. I pulled out my phone and called Detective Williams. It's Richard Coleman. Derek just ran. I think he's heading home, but you might want to put out a notice to watch for his vehicle. We're already on it, Mr. Coleman. Did you get what we needed? I touched the camera on my boutonniere. Every word. Good. Come by the station tomorrow, and we'll get your statement. And Mr. Coleman, you did the right thing. Elder abuse cases like this, they don't always end well. You're lucky you figured it out when you did. I had help. My granddaughter Sophie, she's the real hero here. Smart kid. We'll need to talk to her too, if that's okay with her parents. I'll arrange it. I hung up and went back inside. Amanda found me immediately. Dad, where have you been? We're about to cut the cake. Just needed some air. You know how I am at parties. She hugged me tight. I'm so glad you're here. Mom would have loved this day. She would have. She'd be so proud of you. Where's Derek? I wanted him in the photos for the cake cutting. I hesitated. He had to leave. Emergency with Vanessa. Oh no. Is everything okay? It will be. Because it would be. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. The cake was cut, more dances were danced, and toasts were made. Around 11, guests started leaving. Sophie and Max were asleep in a side room, exhausted from the excitement. I found Peter helping clean up. Peter, can we talk? Privately? We went out to the terrace where I'd confronted Derek earlier. What's up? He asked. I told him everything. The forged power of attorney. Sophie's overheard conversation. Derek's confession on the terrace. The police investigation. Peter's face went through a range of emotions. Shock, anger, disbelief, and finally, protective fury. That son of a he stopped himself. Amanda's going to be devastated. I know, but she needs to know. And Sophie needs to know that she did the right thing by telling me. Sophie knew about this? She's the one who figured it out. She's a smart kid, Peter. You should be proud. He ran his hands through his hair. I can't believe this. Derek seemed so. I mean, he helped with Sophie's school fees. He's been so supportive. He helped because he was setting up his con. The generous uncle act made it easier to access your home, to gain trust. It's classic manipulation. Peter was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "What happens now?" "Derek will be arrested. There will be a trial. It's going to be hard on Amanda. She'll need you. We all will. I'm not going anywhere." We went back inside. The party was winding down. Amanda was saying goodbye to the last few guests, her face glowing with happiness. I decided I wouldn't tell her tonight. Let her have this one perfect day. Tomorrow would come soon enough, with all its complications and heartbreak. But for now, watching my daughter dance with her new husband while my grandchildren slept peacefully nearby, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Safe. 3 days later, I sat in Detective Williams' office at the Portland Police Department, watching a video of Derek's arrest. They'd picked him up at his house around midnight on the wedding night. He'd tried to flee out the back door but ran straight into 2 officers, waiting there. The footage showed him handcuffed, shouting about how I'd set him up, how this was all a misunderstanding. Vanessa stood in the doorway of their house, her face a mask of shock and sadness. "We found additional evidence at his residence," Detective Williams said, pausing the video. His laptop had multiple searches for how to have someone declared mentally incompetent, articles about elder abuse and inheritance laws, and emails with Marcus Reeves discussing your daily routine, your health, your living situation. My blood ran cold. He was planning it out in detail. Yes, we believe he was going to stage an incident to make it appear you were suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. Get a doctor to sign off on incompetency. Then the power of attorney would kick in, and he'd have access to your accounts. And if that didn't work, Detective Williams met my eyes. The emails with Reeves also discussed permanent solutions. We're still investigating, but it appears they may have been planning something more. Final. I thought about Catherine again, about her sudden illness. "Detective, I need to ask you something. My wife died 4 years ago. Cancer. But it came on very suddenly. Derek was around a lot during her illness. Is there any way to investigate?" She leaned back in her chair. "Mr. Coleman, I can't make any promises. After 4 years, it would be difficult to prove anything. But I can look into it. Request medical records. Interview her doctors. If there's something there, we'll find it." "Thank you. For what it's worth, I think you did an incredibly brave thing. Confronting your son like that. Gathering evidence. Most elder abuse victims never report it. They're too ashamed, or they don't want to believe their family would hurt them. I had a smart granddaughter who refused to be ignored. Without Sophie, I might have ended up another statistic." That afternoon, I went to Amanda's house. It was time to tell her everything. She sat on her couch, Peter beside her, holding her hand. Sophie and Max were at a friend's house. We'd decided this conversation was for adults only. I walked them through the whole story, from Sophie's initial warning to Derek's arrest. I showed them the videos and audio recordings. I showed them the forged power of attorney. Amanda cried. Not the happy tears from her wedding day, but deep, wrenching sobs of betrayal and grief. "He's my brother," she kept saying. "How could he? How could he do this to you, to our family?" "I don't know, honey. But what matters is that he didn't succeed. We're all safe." Sophie knew this whole time? She was carrying this by herself? She tried to tell you, remember? But you thought she was making it up. Amanda put her face in her hands. Oh, God. She must have felt so alone, so scared. She's a strong kid, and she trusted that I would believe her. That's what saved me. Peter spoke up, his voice hard. He used us. The money for Sophie's school, that was part of his plan, wasn't it? To get access to our house, to your information. Probably. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. You're the victim here. He paused. Actually, about Sophie's school fees. We can't accept that money now. It's tainted. I'd already thought of this. Don't worry about that. I've set up a trust fund for Sophie's education, and one for Max, too. They'll both have what they need. Dad, we can't. Yes, you can. It's what Catherine would have wanted. What I want. Let me do this. Amanda wiped her eyes. Can I see Sophie now? I need to talk to her. Of course. Peter called his friend's house, and 20 minutes later, Sophie came through the door. She took one look at her mother's tear-stained face and froze. Did I do something wrong? Oh, baby, no. Amanda pulled her into a fierce hug. You did everything right. You were so brave. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I'm so sorry. Sophie hugged her back, and I saw the tension drain from her small shoulders. Is Grandpa okay? She asked. Grandpa's fine, thanks to you. Sophie looked over at me. Did Uncle Derek get arrested? Yes, sweetheart. He did. Good. She said it with such certainty, such a sense of justice, that I had to smile. That kid was going to do great things someday. The trial happened 6 months later, in March. Derek pleaded not guilty, claiming I'd manufactured the evidence against him, that I was a confused old man who'd misunderstood innocent actions. But the evidence was overwhelming. The forged power of attorney, the emails with Marcus Reeves, the audio recording of his confession on the terrace, Vanessa's testimony about his gambling debts and erratic behavior. The jury took less than 4 hours to convict him on multiple counts: forgery, attempted fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit elder abuse. He got 8 years. Marcus Reeves got 12, as he had prior convictions. I sat through every day of the trial, Amanda beside me. She'd struggled with divided loyalties. Derek was her brother, after all, but in the end, the evidence was irrefutable. Sophie testified. She sat in that witness box, 12 years old and terrified, and told the court exactly what she'd heard. Derek's lawyer tried to make her out to be a confused child, but she held firm. Afterwards, I took her out for ice cream. That was the hardest thing I've ever done, she said, attacking her Sunday with a vengeance. You were amazing, a real hero. I don't feel like a hero. I feel like I ruined Uncle Derek's life. Sophie, look at me. You didn't ruin anything. Derek made his own choices, bad choices. He's facing the consequences of those choices. You just made sure the truth came out. Will Mom ever forgive me? There's nothing to forgive. Your mom loves you. She's proud of you. We all are. Even though I broke up our family, I thought about how to answer that. Finally, I said, family isn't just about blood, Sophie. It's about loyalty, love, trust. Derek broke those things when he decided to hurt me. You protected them. That's what real family does. She seemed to consider this while eating her ice cream. Then she said, Grandma would have been proud of me too, right? My eyes stung. Grandma would have been over the moon. You're just like her, smart, brave, and with a good heart. I miss her. I miss her too, kiddo. Every day. We finished our ice cream and drove home. Amanda's home, which had become a refuge for me over the past months. I'd been staying in their guest room more and more, not wanting to be alone in my house with all its memories. That evening, after dinner, Amanda found me in the backyard. The kids were doing homework, and Peter was at a late meeting. Dad, I need to ask you something. Anything. Do you think Derek had something to do with Mom's death? I'd been dreading this question. I don't know. Detective Williams looked into it, but there wasn't enough evidence either way. Catherine was cremated, so there's no way to do additional tests. Her medical records showed a standard cancer diagnosis and treatment. There's nothing suspicious there. But you suspect. I wonder. But wondering isn't proof. And even if... I took a breath. Even if he did something, we'll never know for sure. We have to make peace with that uncertainty. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I've been going through my memories of that time, when Mom was sick, and I remember Derek being around a lot, which I thought was nice. But now I remember other things, how he'd insist on making her tea, how he'd shoo me out of the room when he was with her. Little things that seemed caring at the time, but now, don't torture yourself with what-ifs, Amanda. We can't change the past, but we can learn from it. Mom always said to trust my instincts. I didn't do that with Sophie. I won't make that mistake again. None of us will. She leaned her head on my shoulder, and we sat there in the fading light. Two people trying to make sense of betrayal and loss and the complicated nature of family. A year has passed since Derek's conviction. Life has found a new rhythm. Sophie is thriving at Riverside Prep. Her science fair project on environmental toxins won first place at the state level. She's being courted by programs at MIT and Caltech, even though she's only 13. Max is doing well too. He's more cautious than he used to be, a little less trusting of new people, but he's getting there. Amanda and Peter are solid. The ordeal brought them closer together, if anything. They've started going to counseling, working through the trauma of having someone they trusted betray them so fundamentally. As for me, I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. I've started volunteering at a senior center, teaching others about financial fraud and elder abuse, sharing my story so maybe someone else won't become a victim. Detective Williams still checks in on me occasionally. She told me that the investigation into Catherine's death hit a dead end, no new evidence, no way to prove anything. But she also said they'd found communications between Derek and Reeves going back 5 years, which suggests Derek had been planning some kind of con for a long time. Whether that included Catherine's death, we'll never know. I've made my peace with that. Today is September 24th again, Amanda and Peter's first anniversary. We're all gathered at their house for a small celebration, just family, real family. Sophie is showing me her latest project, something about quantum mechanics that I don't fully understand but pretend to. Max is teaching me a new video game. Amanda and Peter are cooking together in the kitchen, laughing about something. This is what family looks like. Not perfect, but real. Honest. Safe. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Vanessa. Richard, thank you again for everything. Divorce is final. Starting over. Tell Sophie she was right to speak up. She saved more lives than just yours. I smile and put my phone away. Yeah, she really did. Grandpa, Max calls. Come on. You're supposed to be on my team. Coming, buddy. I join them in the living room. This family that chose me, and that I chose right back. Catherine would have loved this moment. She would have been proud of how we survived, how we came together, how we protected each other. I like to think she's here somehow, in Sophie's scientific mind, in Amanda's strength, in the way Max laughs Catherine's laugh, right down to the little snort at the end. Family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes it's who stands beside you when everything falls apart. Sometimes it's a 12-year-old girl who refuses to stop until someone listens. Sometimes it's choosing to believe, to protect, to fight even when it's hard, even when it means facing uncomfortable truths about people you love. I look around at these faces, these people who are my whole world, and I know one thing for certain. I'm the luckiest man alive.